Mama. You're pretty good. Hi guys, it's Debbie. I finally have a nice quiet house today, so I'd like to try to do the 77 question witchy tag, the community tag that Tequila made up from all our questions. So, forgive me if I look down. I got my iPad and Tequila's Facebook on here so I can get all the questions. So, number one, do you use runes as a written language? Not necessarily. I use runes. I take what energy I want from the particular room. I scribe it on a candle from doing candle magic. And that's the only time I really use runes. I do have 2 sets. But I don't use them for divination. Number 2. Do you feel like you have natural gifts such as premonitions, hearing spirits? And if so, do you think this is what led you to this path? I have prophetic dreams, I guess. And like intuitions. Like I'll feel a real awful foreboding if something bad's going to happen. But it didn't lead me to this path. I've been a witch since I was between 13 and 14. And at first I think it was a like a get back at you thing from my mother for forcing Christianity down my throat when I was little. But eventually I was always drawn to it anyway, so it was definitely more home to me than Christianity was, so that's why I fell in the path. What deity do you work with, if any, and why? I work with all sorts of deities. Usually if it's in a ritual, I go with whatever common myth the season brings. Most of the time when I do spell work, it's with either Cernunnos and Caradwyn, or like Brigitte and Pan. Yeah, I use whoever I want to embody the energy that I'm looking for. Number 4, have you always worked with the same deity? No, like I said, I use whoever I'm called to work with for that certain ritual or spell. Do you use any personal items in your practice? Blood, semen, tears, urine, etc. Occasionally I'll use blood, but not very often. Usually around Samhain, or if I'm doing like a protection bag or spell, I mean, for my children, then I'll use some blood. Do you do past life readings, or have you ever had one done? Who were you, or how did you die? I did one past life regression, and I was like an Indian girl, and I died by a riverbed. I wasn't very old. I was like teenager type. And that's the only one I've done. I haven't tried to do them myself through meditation or trance work or anything like that. My friend is the one that did it for me years and years and years ago, when I was like younger. What is your favorite magical tool? Probably candles. I love candles, all types of candles. I do a lot of candle spells, just because they're quick and easy, and I don't have a ton of time with work and kids and the farm and all the animals and stuff. So usually if I cast a spell, it's fairly quick. What is a song or type of music that gets you into a witchy mood? I think anything by Stevie Nicks, and the practical magic theme to the movie. I love that song, so that's definitely one that will get me in the mood. Where is the most magical place you've ever been? I guess for me, living in the Northeast, either the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, or the White Mountains. I love Franconia Notch. We go up there quite often. My husband actually drives for the local bus company that goes into Boston every day. So he drives from Boston to Littleton, which is up past the Notch. So lots of times I'll go with him, and I love it up there. It's just beautiful. What animal is your familiar, if any? My dog Ginger, I think, is my familiar. She's half wire hair terrier, half Jack Russell. So she's like a little ping pong ball. She follows me everywhere. She's my shadow. Yeah, I don't have a cool animal like some people. You know, I have a black cat. His name's Salem, and I wish he was my familiar, but yeah, he couldn't be bothered. So, Ginger's definitely my familiar. If you have a familiar, did you choose them or did they choose you? Well, I chose her in the way that she was a rescue at the ASPCA here in New Hampshire. And then she just chose me to cling on to. She's literally like a shadow. So funny. I talk to her all day long. I don't know what I'm going to do when I lose her, because then I'll just be talking to myself and people think I'm a little more crazy than I am. But whatever. What in the craft are you best at? Tarot, spells, ritual, etc. I love doing very theatrical rituals when we have open circle for the Sabbats, but I guess spell work is my strength as far as that goes. What in the craft would you say you are weaker at? Astrology. I suck at astrology. I check the phase of the moon and occasionally my horoscope, and I know what Mercury retrograde means, and that's about it. It's too much like math to me. I haven't got into it. I have tons of Tarot for Dummy type of books, and I just can't get it. So after almost 30 years of practice, I think I'm going to leave that one alone forever. What is your most favorite part of your craft? Spell writing. I love spell writing. I love like creative writing. That was my favorite thing in high school and college. So spell writing, definitely. What was the first purchase tool you ever got? My Athame. What was your first homemade tool for your practice? My first tool was a pussy willow wand that I made when I was like 12. We had a brook out in the back of our house in Situate, Massachusetts, and yeah, that was my first wand. I kept it in my room forever, and the pussy willows just died on it and stuff, and my mother kept trying to throw it away, and I grab it back. So, my first wand. What are your feelings on raising kids in the craft? I think it's a good thing. I have 4 children, ages 25, 22, almost 18, and almost 11. So out of the 4, I have 2 agnostic and 2 pagans. So it's been good for them, you know, keeps their mind open, and you know, they've been to church with my parents, and it wasn't for them, and you know, if they want to change paths, so be it. That's up to them. That's their path. So I think that children should be able to choose. If you were a goddess or god, who would you be? I believe I would be Caradwyn, the mom, the very protective mom. Yeah, definitely her. Do you use astrology in your practice? Not very often, not much. Number 20. What, if any, ways could you practice dark magic and still respect the beliefs of Wicca? I don't really think anything's dark or light, per se. I know Wicca is pretty positive, and I'm not Wiccan, I'm pagan. I did start off in Wicca when I was little, or younger. I don't know how to answer that one. Do you have any witches in your family? I have tons of Scott and French heritage, so I am sure that I do somewhere, but not in recent history. Unfortunately, I'm the only one, other than my kids. What item can you not witch without? Probably my candles. I love my candles. What is your favorite Sabbath or time of year? Well, I guess Samhain. That's my favorite. I love the apple picking, or Mabon. Um, the autumn equinox or Samhain. Yeah, that sounds good. I love the pumpkins and the squash and the apple picking and the hay rides and the, apple crisp and cider and apple donuts and all that good stuff that I shouldn't eat. So yeah, that's my favorite time of year. Have you ever had a YouTube burnout? Not yet. I've been on YouTube for a while under Debbie Boyce. I had a farm channel for a little bit. Basically I was a lurker. I didn't want to do the whole camera thing, but I needed a new hobby, so I started making videos. So I haven't got burnt out yet, but I'm sure I'll get there. I don't have any haters yet, so if you want to jump on the bandwagon and be one of my haters, I'd be so happy. I feel kind of left out because everybody gets hated on and I don't, so whatever. Alright. Let's see. Number 25. What is your favorite witchy shop and do they have an online store? Azure Green is pretty much, that's where I shop the most. They're kind of expensive though. It's a Massachusetts-based company, so prices are pretty up there. When buying witchy items, do they choose you or do you choose them? Well, I'll go into a store or, there's a crystal shop up here. It's not very witchy. It's, minerals and things like that. They're not witchy. But there's a nice gem store, and it's either in Manchester or Hooksett. I can't remember. And they have some nice crystals in there. And so I'll go in looking for quartz, and then, so I choose to look for the quartz, but then whatever quartz kind of calls to me to pick up and see if the energy goes well. I don't know if that makes any sense. Number 27. How do you organize your herbs and ingredients? My stuff's kind of all over the place. I have stuff in the barn. I have stuff in my room. I have stuff in the kitchen. I have 2 witchy cabinets. Then I have some witchy stuff in my craft cabinet. It's kind of all over the place. I need one room. I need a witchy room. And I have too many kids home to have a witchy room. But someday I'm going to have a whole room. There's a woman in my coven that has a whole room that she has a low table for her altar, and she got herbs and books and these purpley twinkly lights all over the ceiling, and it's awesome, and it always smells amazing in there. And but all her kids are grown and out, so mine are pretty much grown except for the 11-year-old, but they keep coming back. So, and they usually bring animals with them, so we're getting kind of crowded. Do you have an interest in other deities that you do not work with? If so, which ones? I will work with anyone that I know about. I've always been interested in Kali Ma, but I have never done any research of her. So I guess if I had to pick one, she would be one that I would be interested in learning more about. Do you have a favorite time of day to do spell work? If so, why? Probably during the day. My last son, my 11-year-old, is homeschooled, so when we take our break, that's kind of my time to do something I want to do. At night, it's crazy because everybody's here. My husband's home, so I want to spend time with him because he works, most of the day. Good 11, 12-hour days. So when he's home, I, fix dinner, we spend time together. So unless it's a scheduled coven night, then I don't really go out and do anything other than them. Yeah, I guess in the afternoon would be my favorite time to do meditation, tarot readings, stuff like that. Any spell work, unless I'm doing one at a specific hour. I will, if it's in the middle of the night, like 2 or 3 a.m. that the candle needs to be lit and burned, I will wake up for that. So, but most of the time it's the afternoon. Are you solitary or do you work with a coven? I work with a coven 3 times a month. One is a goddess group, and it's not really a coven per se. My coven only meets twice a month for a ritual. Full moon and new moon. And then, you know, if there's like a Sabbath, then we'll meet 3 times. But and then the rest is just solitary. If you could pick a certain witchcraft tradition that fits your practice, most, what would it be? Druid, Celtic, Wicca, etc. I believe probably Celtic. I'm very drawn to the artwork, the music, the land. I would love to go to Ireland. That's my dream. Ireland and Scotland. I really want to visit there. That is definitely on my bucket list. What was the most creative spell you've ever done? What did you use? My spell work is pretty simple. I can't think of anything fancy that I've done. A friend of mine of 20 years did something not good. And this is the second friend that did this to me. And almost caused a divorce, so I'll just leave it at that. So I froze her picture. I bound and froze her picture and threw it into a very cold, rushing river to get her away from me and my husband. And it worked. So I guess that's the one that sticks out in my mind. I do lots of candle spells that are just, you know, for luck, money, protection, that kind of thing. But yeah, that one was a great success, and I can tell you about it because it's long past, so it worked. I'm not taking away from that. What do you prefer for divination? Tarot, god damn. Alright. Tarot, oracle, runes, etc. and why? I love tarot. I'm not very good at it though. I do my daily draw and my 3-card spreads, and other than that, I suffer from CRS, can't remember shit, so I have to kind of look and see what the cards mean. I'm currently taking the Tarot Together with Annie, and that is a great group. You gotta check it out. And we're on Facebook as well as Annie's videos on YouTube. So I'm doing that, and I'm trying to remember all the cards. So hopefully I'll be able to remember the cards. I have fibromyalgia, so I have fog brain, and it's kind of hard to remember stuff. So that's my favorite, though. The imagery is awesome. What are some ways you keep yourself grounded? Just trying to remember not to be all in my head. I tend to be all in my head most of the time. Thoughts race and things. So if I pull my energy kind of down my body and more into my root chakra and my legs, and kind of just feel the energy in my heels out to the earth, and that reminds me not to, you know, think too much. So that keeps me grounded. Have you ever had a spell go horribly wrong? Not wrong per se, but I've had it go so I got what I wanted, but not the way that I wanted to get it. So I really got good at being specific when I wrote my spells. Not lending any to interpretation. Sort of like the genie's 3 wishes. He can be really mischievous. So I tend to believe that the pathway that is opened can sometimes not be the best path for that energy to take. So the more specific I am, the better it comes out. I hope that makes sense. What are your opinions on initiation rituals? Like I said, I started out Wiccan, and my coven is mostly Wiccan. Like eclectic Wicca, though. You know, they pull from all traditions. So I would not say I'm Wiccan, but I believe my coven is Wiccan. So I'm Wicca while I'm with them, if that makes sense. And we require initiation. However, I don't believe that for solitary work, I don't think you need to. A dedication ritual, just to the pagan path, introduce yourself to the gods, goddesses, that kind of thing. It's not required. I just think it's polite before you go asking for things or paying homage to someone, to kind of introduce yourself and, you know, let them get to know you better. So I think that's, so dedication's better than initiation. Let's put it that way. Have you ever had full contact with your deity? If so, what happened? Not visually or verbally, but like a feeling. I definitely know when they're present. What about you is unwitchy? Okay, so, excuse me. Once in a while, my husband will have to work late. So, I get to turn on Netflix and watch the most sappy, girly chick flicks when he's not around. That is my very favorite unwitchy thing about me. For the dating witch, how do you tell a new love interest that you are a witch? Well, let's see. I would just, you know, like it or lump it. That's my motto. I think that if they're going to love you, they're going to love all of you. Or at least be tolerant. So, number 40. Who is a past witch that has inspired you, rather famous or not? I guess my first teacher inspired me, Lori Cabot. And she's pretty famous. Most people know of her. The second one I worked with and inspired me was Lady Sabrina. A lot of people don't know her unless you're from the area of New Hampshire. She ran Our Lady of Enchantment down in Nashua, and they up and moved to California, so they're no longer there. But I got my degrees from her, and I took some classes with Lori Cabot too. And as a teenager, she was wicked cool. So, that's, yeah. Maria K. Sims is another lady that I met that I really respect, and she's awesome. She does a lot with astrology. She had a coven here in New Hampshire in Kensington, and I don't think they're together any longer. But yeah, she's written some astrology books. She has beautiful artwork, and if I think of it, I'll put a link to her artwork and books in the description bar. But yeah, she's quite an inspiration and a wonderful person and a great witch. She's just so powerful. Okay, so number 41. How do you handle rejection from a fellow witch that refuses to do a reading or spell for you? I've never run across that yet, but I guess if I did, I would just move on to somebody that would help me and thank her for her time or his time. Number 42. Do you think it is necessary to cast a circle when you do spell work or any magic working? I don't think you need to cast a circle every time you do a working. The only time I cast a circle, a full circle, is when I'm doing a ritual for like a Sabbath. As you work or as you intend to work, that the sacred space is created automatically after practicing for a while. So, you know, as soon as you smudge and all that stuff, then I don't think you need to cast a full circle every time. If Steven Spielberg called and wanted to make a movie of your life, who would you want to play as you? I would like Sandra Bullock to play me. I think she's a great actress, and she and I have the same sense of humor, or seems to be. What is some advice that was given to you that you pass along because it made an impact on your path? Take what other witches say with a grain of salt. If you feel that something should be a way that is different than the books or in what you're taught in your coven or whatever, do it your way, because it's, you know, without your intent, it's not going to have as much impact than if you got it from a book or somebody else wrote the spell. Does that make sense? Number 46. Where do you buy your herbs? Either Frontier Herbs or Mountain Rose Herbs. Misty Meadows is the one in Deerfield, and I like that one. Wendy's awesome that works there. And if I think of it, I'll stick the link to the shop in the down bar. How do you feel casting your circle? Oh, first circle. It was very jumbled and not flowy. It was kind of, you know, like a 13-year-old would do. What was your first successful spell? My friend and I cast a spell to get money. And we found a $200 winning lottery scratch ticket. So that was pretty cool. I like that. What is your general practice for meditation? I like guided meditations, different ones here and there. A lot I get off of YouTube and just off the internet. I like that the best. And are you a day walker or a night comer? I guess a day walker. I get up at probably 3:30 in the morning and go to bed around 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So, Ginger, stop. Stop. It's a bad dog. Bad dog. Number 51. How and when did you know you wanted to be on this path? Again, between like, I don't know, I guess 12, I knew that Christianity wasn't for me and I didn't want any part of it. 13 is when I started researching and reading and got my first big blue book by Gardner. And then 14 is when I started really practicing. And then by 16 I was studying with Lori Cabot. So. What type of pagan are you? I am an eclectic witch. That's heavy on the Celtic side. What candle color do you use most? Definitely white. What area would you like to see your craft grow in? I really want to learn tarot better. I love the tarot cards. I'm a collector of tarot. And I love the imagery and the symbolism. I'm not good at it at all because I can't remember what the cards are. But I would love to do that. And I really should know astrology, I feel, as a witch. You know, I've been a witch for a long time, and then for some reason it's just a block for me. I cannot do astrology. And it bothers me. So I really need to make that happen one of these days. What is your preference to buy or make your tools? I think that tools that are made are more powerful. However, there are some really, really cool stuff out there to buy. So, that's a toss-up. I don't know. I like pretty things. So, what fictional witch book screen inspired you the most? The only thing that really comes to mind is Practical Magic. I could watch that a million times. Number 57. Was your first spell where you were alone or in a coven? I was alone. 58. What is your favorite candle, incense, scent for magical purposes? Either dragon's blood or sandalwood. And cinnamon. I love cinnamon. Where is your favorite place to go to reconnect with nature? I would have to say in my yard, in my garden. In wintertime, I get really disconnected because I'm not outside a lot, other than shoveling. We don't snowmobile, ski, any of that. So I get really disconnected, and I'm, you know, really hoping for spring by the time winter ends. Number 60, do you believe in fantasy creatures? I believe in the energy that they hold, not physically, I guess. Do you believe in ghosts and spirits? Oh yeah, I do, definitely. I've seen them many times. What, if any, legal herb do you use for moods? I make a sleep tincture with chamomile, catnip, kava kava, and valerian root, and in a 90 proof or 100 proof, whichever I happen to have on hand. And that works awesome for sleep and just kind of calming down if I have a day full of anxiety and, you know, crazy schedule and stuff like that. Then that tincture's great. What is the most recent spell or ritual you have done? Summer solstice spell, honoring the sun and in all of his fullness. And we planted seeds for just this next year to grow and grow, so we can reap what we sow next year at this time. So that's the latest one I've done. Number 64. Would you ever teach the craft? I do, as part of the coven, and I would take on an apprentice if, you know, if they were of age, and if they had a genuine interest, not to waste my time or theirs, then I would agree to teach. Do you have a happy place you go during meditation? I do. It is a beautiful waterfall in a shaded wood, and there's all sorts of like birds, and there's a beautiful canopy, and it's just, oh, it's a magical place. Even the ground is soft there that I'm laying on. Do you have a ritual to get ready before a ritual or spell? What is it? Usually if it's a ritual in the coven, I'll take my shower at home and then get all dolled up and go out and just kind of, like, we smudge. At home I'll just smudge. That's pretty much it. I don't have an elaborate ritual for getting ready to perform magic or anything. Number 66. What is your favorite witchy book? I don't know if I have one. I have so many books. Ugh. Number 68. Do you always use your own spells or do you tweak others? I can get ideas from other people, but I always make it my own. I either rewrite the wording or change something in it that feels good to me and makes it mine. And do you prefer spells, rituals inside or outside? Outside if it's nice. Number 70. If you're coming from a Christian Catholic background, did you find the transition hard with family and the whole going to hell thing? Basically leaving all you've been told was right. I didn't have trouble with it at all. I really felt like I was coming home when I changed religions. I couldn't stand the Christian church. It was horrible for me. 71. What are your totem animals? I love the crows. The crows in my yard. New England has crows everywhere, so definitely crows. Number 72. What are some things you reuse after spells and ritual work? Sometimes the bottles. Like if I do a spell bottle and bury it, and then the spell comes to fruition, then I can unbury it, bury the contents, reuse the bottle. I guess that's the only time I would reuse something. Other than my incense ashes, I save and throw into the fire at Samhain. All of my old things from that year get renewed at Samhain, so everything I want to get rid of is burned at Samhain. So that's sort of reusing. You know, old spells, old journals, old like incense ashes, candle ends, stuff like that is all thrown into the Samhain fire. in my tradition. Number 73. Who helped you the most when you started on your path? Books. I've read lots and lots of books. Do you know any good witchy phone apps like moon phases? I don't. Actually, I have none. I have no apps on my phone for witchiness. What is your favorite magical study? Herbs. I love herbs and crystals. Outside of the YouTube and Facebook community, do you have a lot of witchy friends in the physical world? No, not at all. I know probably 20 people here in New Hampshire that are pagan, just from like networking and open rituals and stuff like that. The witchy stores, you know, you go to open ritual, you meet a lot of people. Friends, though, I have no friends that are witchy at all. My coven is, there's 5 of us, and they're my friends. So, but other than like work and stuff like that, I don't have any friends that are witchy. Let's see. Number 77. Yay! Last one. Do you feel that the deities we work with are a force from one higher power, and that all beliefs and religions are from the same one God or place? My thinking and how I teach my children when they do ask is that there is one being, one energy, one universal force. And from that, like the gods and goddesses are all facets of that one energy. And, you know, we can pull from that one energy whoever we identify, whichever energy we identify with the best as our matron, our patron, goddess, and God. So, that's all 77 questions. I finally got it done. This is the 3rd time I've tried to film this video. And then I waited too late in the day. It got crazy. It was dinner time. My husband kept following me around the yard. It's like, ah. And so I'm so happy I finally got it done. And I've had a blast watching everybody else's. I have a funny story. You know, Amethyst Spirit, she did her video, and I watched it at like, oh, I don't know, it was like 4:30 in the morning. I was sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop, just sitting there drinking my coffee. Everybody else was asleep. And she was, and if you've seen her video, you know the moment I'm going to say. She was like looking outside, and then she's like, holy, friggin' hell, that's hail out there. And I can't even do it like she did it, but oh my God, I damn near fell off my chair laughing. It was like so random. I don't know. It's the accent, I think. Her accent's awesome, and her and the 4 queens, their accent is just brilliant. I love it. And yeah, so I was laughing like hell, and I woke 2 people up in the house just laughing. So I've really enjoyed watching everybody's video. So I can't wait to see more, and thanks for watching, guys. This was a fun one. Bye.